This is nice. This is real nice. My first time doing a live video since the feature has been available. But in the past, a lot of y'all know that I have done videos and then uploaded. And so I said, as soon as I get the time and opportunity, I will do a live video. Now, this video should be displayed on Deep Orgasmic Love Poetry, and there's a lot of issues I got written down that I kind of want to address and make, put a little additional information to it. Now, in this video, I guess, I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 30 minutes to an hour or whatever, but I'm going to try to get every issue addressed that's I feel that I need to, from heart to go on and talk on. And I got my little outline written down over here so I won't get sidetracked. I guess the first thing I would like to address is the explicit pictures. And there is a lot of, explicit pictures that been displayed on Deep Orgasmic Love Poetry. And my whole thing is, I don't have no problem with the explicit pictures that you want to make association with your poetry and this and that. I don't have no problem with it. But we got to understand too that there's a lot of peoples out there that seem to have some problems with explicit pictures of Deep Orgasmic Love, and I think it's a shame, because long as the pictures is just going in harmony in what you're writing, it should be okay. And I did not explicit pictures, but I did explicit trying to give you an idea of what I'm writing about. And many times when I did this, I got threats, this is too explicit, your account may be deleted, this is downgrading and this and that. And I don't see no reason why would it be downgrading. The pictures was shown in a way that it's not showing sexual organs and this and that. It was just showing a piece, and I was going to fill in on the poetry for as what I was trying to showcase. So when I talk to people and they wants to put up explicit pictures, keep in mind that we have haters on here, that what you may think is not explicit, they may think it's explicit to them. And then keep in mind that when you do write your poetry and put a picture up with it, people's gonna like, if they love your poetry, they're gonna like to share it to other people and this and that. And you want to put a picture up that hopefully that it won't make disrespect, or somebody might find it offensive, you know. And sometimes that's hard to do, because everybody got their different standards and perception of what is explicit and what's not. Now, erotic writings and morality. Now, I really have to emphasize on this, because everybody got their different types of standards on writing. And, you know, I wrote a lot of poetry that I feel like is very tasteful and well presented. But some people will look at your writings and what you do and feel like it's offensive or downgrading. And a lot of this, from my perspective and looking in the standards it come from, is coming from a religious point of view. And my thing is, on a religious point of view, is, you know, if you look at the Book of Solomon, I mean, he wrote about women's and sucking their breasts and all this. But that's okay. But soon as I want to write some poetry that's want to glorify my passion for the woman, this and that, some reason or another it get looked at as something improper or immoral and this and that. And that's furthest from the truth, you know. I'm a very visual, detailed writer, so when I write stuff, I'm going to write it in the way that you see it. I'm going to write it in the way that you feel like you was there, you know. And that's one of the skills that a lot of my readers like in me, because it's so detailed and vivid. And I don't want nobody to be bored with what I write. I'm a very entertaining individual. I'm a very individual that's into deep sense of humor. In other words, I got a funny side beside me. So what you read, when you read my poetry, you're going to read things in the nature of sense of humor. You're going to read stuff that's very detailed and erotic. And I want you to laugh when you read my stuff, because I'm all into sense of humor. Thank you, sister. I love you. You always been a big supporter of my writings and this and that. It's nice to have you on here. I'm trying to shine, but there's a whole lot of people that want me to shine. And back on a note on morality and writing, it's a freedom of expression. And if you don't understand or can't digest what is being written, then, you know, hey, maybe not for you. You might need to just go on and leave it. Leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I like to say with all of my readers, there are different avenues and different variations of writing, you know, and I don't have a problem with it, you know, as long as your heart is behind it and that's what you want to do and that's what you want to express, you know. Okay, for us on the erotic writings and morality, I think I summed that up. If not, you know I do another video if I need to emphasize on it. Now, The Freak of All Times. That's this book here. Freak of All Times. Okay. When I put out The Freak of All Times, The Freak of All Times was the book, I was just stepping into publishing, and was trying to learn about the formation, about the marketing, and about what direction I should go. Now, dealing with the publisher, I had lots and lots of material, but they compressed it down to this small book, which I wasn't really too fond of, because I've been writing for years and I have a lot of material to put out there. Anyway, this book got published or pushed into a lot of European countries, and also into Asia. So, which also eBay, a lot of distributors of eBay have picked this book up and pushing it. And this book is about 2 years old since its publishing, and it had stayed on eBay for 2 years and counting, And so evidently, I guess a lot of people are liking the book or this and that, And what they're doing is they're getting this book and they are pretty much cutting off how much they're selling and how many books they are actually purchasing and selling it on eBay, which means that if you're not showcasing how many books you're getting, then I don't know how to determine what royalties I should get from this book. And I see a lot of that going on around, I had learned, excuse my language, I had learned when you come into the publishing, entertainment, or any broadcasting of products in the social media or wherever, they always want to fuck you in the game. And excuse my language, you have to get fucked to do some fucking. And this is what this is all about, They want to take a brilliant idea from the artist or author, and then they want to take this and make much money they can, but they don't want to give the writer or the creator the credit and its money that's due. And so I am getting down to the bottom of that, because that's some crazy stuff, But I wasn't surprised, because it happened to us all the time in the history of black peoples in general. Because I was not satisfied with the material, that how much that was being put in this book, and the overpricing that they raised up on it, I ran into one of my buddies that I used to write with back in the days, TLF Publishing Group, Mr. Mike. Okay, Mr. Mike, I wrote with Mr. Mike back in the Moco days, and he had his own publishing company, this and that, and I told him the problems with this book. So we come together and we brought out this book, Deep Orgasmic Love. And it's a book that's showcasing erotic poetry and short stories. A piece of this book, but it's extenuated to a 225 page, which this book was only about over 100 pages, you know. But he brought this book out and did a good job. He added pictures in the book, you know, that a lot of other companies want to charge you a hand and arm and leg for, you know, and he had the pictures and this and that. And pretty much I had told him what was my dissatisfactory with this book, and so we came together and we created this book, which is a very beautiful book, and also the pricing is right. Whether this book they're trying to hit you for $15, $20, when this book here, thick book, you can get for $10. See what I'm saying? And I did that because I wanted to reach a lot of my writers, a lot of my readers. I wanted to reach them at a reasonable price, because most new books that are being sold is between $7 to $10. And if you want to be successful, you want to make your product right in that margin where you can reach a lot of people, you know. And a lot of people who are spending around that price range will love to grab a book like this. Now, they call me Zane in mail form, you know, and that's what the readers want to call me. I go for that. I ain't got no problem with that. Even though Zane, for as I know, never did any poetry, but she did short stories and this and that, which is this have short stories and poetry, very powerful, loving poetry. I guess another word I can say, stimulating poetry. So this book has the best of both worlds. Those who love reading short stories is good for you, and those who love poetry is very perfect for you. Now, in the process of making this book and this and that, every person that I had met out on the streets promoting this book and sold it to, they loved it. They come back and told me, man, you did a good job and this and that. Exclusively, I was thinking maybe more females, but then a lot of males that came and also bought the book, and they love it too. And most of them love it on the level of the wordplay, you know. Men's are very visual also, and with the rise of rap and this and that, we also get off on wordplay, and so it's got some very powerful wordplay in the poetry, and a lot of guys that got off and love this, you know. Now, you know, most women's like short stories, and so that's another thing they love this book about. Now, on the other hand, a lot of women's also into poetry, and blown away by the skillful wordplay in it. So, on the strength of this book and the feedback I got, a lot of positive feedback that people love, I turn around and here we go. Deep Orgasmic Love 2, pretty much, which lots of poetry, short stories also included, and then there's also what you call informative articles that's also into it that will bring you up to date what's going on around this and that, and different experiences that I had and this and that. And this is, I would say, extreme poetry, because from this book to this book, I developed skills and kept progressing. And this here is like my, how could I say it? It's my development in that process of putting things together and coming with a more approach in my skills in writing. Now, because people are starting to really love the erotic poetry and this and that, there is a third book that's in progress right now that's being written right now, and I'm putting it together, which I should have come out either the end of this year or the beginning of next year, which is going to be a very beautiful book once I get it together. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about the knowledge book, and that book is going to be, I'm working on it now. I'm trying to get it out, and I had started as a really knowledgeable, informative type of writer, which, of course, I did a little erotic poetry, and that took off first. So everything kind of, with the knowledge, kind of fell aside, and we start working towards that. Now the knowledge books are starting to come out, and we're working on it, and we're trying to get it out. Hopefully at the end of this, either sometime during the summer, at the end of the summer. And then also there's a book called 3 Ounces of Gold, which is deeply dealing with knowledge. So keep your eyes out on those books that's coming out. And 2 titles have been presented to me on the knowledge book, and that it would be the Deep and Profound, which I already had a group out on, or Knowledge Burn Like a Lighter. And those 2 titles, and probably 2 books, but pretty much the same thing. And then 3 Ounces of Gold, which is going to be my baby, because 3 Ounces of Gold is going to be deeply rooted into knowledge. Well, the Deep and Profound is really, it's dealing with also the same formation with poetry and this and that, but it's also dealing with history, historical, biblical, wherever you name it, reality, and it's putting these entities in perspective. I put it that way, and so we can have a real good, accurate understanding of what's going on around us. Now, I'm on to my last title, and that's in the stores. Now we're dealing with in the stores, and people are asking me, okay, why your books are not in stores? My books online. Okay, just like people talk about the 50 Shades of Grey and this and that, people's got to understand there's a lot of money being invested in their advertising. There's a lot of money being invested in putting them in stores and this and that. I don't have that kind of resource. Now the resource I do have is creating these books, paying for them, and to put them out online and this and that. Now, if you're at your local store, where bookstore, where is it, Barnes and Noble, the adult store down the street, or wherever, the best way you can get these books in there, and I can't be all across America because I ain't got that resource and power, you can request for these books. And just like Cupid and this and that, these stores basically operate on requests. You know, if somebody requests something, then they feel like, okay, if you're asking for it, then there's some money to be made. You see what I'm saying? And they're going to check into it, and the more demand for it, then the more they will be willing to put it on the shelf. You see what I'm saying? Now, locally around here, which is Little Rock, Arkansas, I went to the Cupid and this and that, different stores. Now we have a few stores that have my books, black-owned stores, and they're pretty much trying to support black ownership or you know, black promotion of black peoples who trying to get their service and products, their service and products out there. Now, and you go back and I want to re-emphasize, it's hard on the black writer because the black writer don't have the resources that a lot of the white writers have, and for us the resources, this and that. And so that's why it's crucial for us as black readers and to stick behind our black writers and this and that, and for us promoting them and trying to get them out and letting the world know there is a demand for that. So that's a heavy responsibility on the readers who want the existence of black writers and any other entertainment, you know. So that's the point and factors I wanted to put out and address. And is there any more issues of this and that? I will be coming in live and making new videos and this and that to talk about it. But other than that, I think I covered where I want to cover. And if you have additional information or additional questions, please leave your comments on this video, and I'll be happy to address them. And on that, peace out. And I want to emphasize too that I'm happy to see the group is approaching 10,000 strong. That is brilliant. And these are people from all around the world. And that is nice to see that a lot of people are coming together and a group is steady growing. Now, if you love the group, I love you. If you don't, you leave, I still love you. But I'm like this: if you don't see you see something you don't like and this and that, this not for you, then hey, that's your privilege. Leave. And I'd rather for you to leave than to create some hell. We don't need no more in hell than what we're getting already. But those who enjoying the art form and the work, go for it. I'm glad to have your support, and I'm willing to work my hardest for you. And any other writers out there that's writing and got a lot of material and you want to get your information published, hey, holler at me. I got a brother Mike is he'll love to work with you and give you a reasonable price to get your information out there and get your book out there. On that, peace. L Holmes. Keep in mind, 3 ounces of gold, and they always shine. Thank you.